Well, like I said, it's a bit of a different show today, a bit heavier of a show, but it's one we felt was necessary to do. Really, really grateful for my friends that are going to help me through this one. And one of them is joining us now, Sean Parnell. Obviously, we know he's a candidate for Congress, an author, and he's a friend of the show. Everybody knows Sean Parnell, but he was also at one point in time leading men fighting in the mountains of Afghanistan, and I would guess that's probably what we're going to talk about today. Sean, take her away.
Hey, how's it going, Marine?
I'll tell you this, man. It's a heavier day today, and I don't usually have heavy days, but this is one of those days. I woke up even on the way here to the studio this morning. I was feeling it. I always feel it this day.
I know, me too. Every day is Memorial Day for someone who's served in combat and lost brothers on the battlefield. I was in Afghanistan for 485 days. The longest combat deployment in global war on terror history. 85% of my platoon was wounded. Some men were wounded twice. I was also wounded. Blown up by a rocket propelled grenade, and then hit 2 more times, blown up by a mortar after that. And, I always say, man, like, I was lucky to come home. I barely made it home, but I was blessed to make it. And, but the same, it's not true of a lot of my soldiers, Many of them didn't make it home. And many of them, after coming back from that hellish deployment, raised their right hand to go back into the fire.
Why, Sean? But explain it. Why?
Because our country is amazing, and it's worth fighting for. We live in the most extraordinary nation on the face of the planet. We are not a nation that is perfect. Of course, we've made mistakes, but the recognition that this country is exceptional and the freedom that we have here is extraordinarily rare in human history, and that is worth fighting for. That's worth bleeding for. That's worth dying for. And I would do it again today, all over again, if I had the choice. And today, Jesse, is like, what I tell people today is like, look, we live in a free country, man. You celebrate today any way that you want, because all of my men, I think about them every day. Not a day that goes by that I don't think about them. But they would want Americans to enjoy their freedom. So go for a walk on the beach. Have a freaking drink. Grill out with your friends and family. But just take a second. Just pause 1 second early in the day. That's all I'm asking. To just recognize those that have given their life for freedom so that we may have our today. And then every day that you wake up and you draw breath, you live a life worthy of that great and extraordinary sacrifice.
What were they like, Sean, the ones who didn't come back? Were they, when you first met them, did you know they were just these lions, or did they just seem like normal dudes and all of a sudden they turn out to be Terminator?
They were just normal guys.
Yep.
One of the things, I was an officer, Jesse. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was saying I'm sorry you were an officer.
Oh yeah. I know you always give me hell about it, but one of the things I try to do with my troops is just get to know them outside the uniform. And a lot of these guys, they were just kids. The job before they were carrying a machine gun in Afghanistan was friggin' high school shortstop. And I watched these kids do extraordinary things in the battlefield, man. And it is like one triumph of the human spirit after the next. And they're just normal kids from America, from all over the country. Who just loved and appreciated this country, and I think about them every day.
Is there anybody who sticks out to you, or any one or two people, specific names that stick out to you that really hit home?
It's too many, Jesse. I mean, you and our nation think about it like this, man. I'm 38 years old. We've been at war for 20 years. All of my adult life, the only thing that I've known in this country is a nation at war. Think about that. And I probably lost 30 plus friends that I love dearly on the battlefield, people who never came home, people who I served with and then went back into the fire and didn't make it. And as a leader, you know how this is, man. You fight like hell to try to bring your men home alive, right? And then they saddle up and they go back at it again. And I was medically retired, and 6 men killed in the next deployment. And it's like, God, what the hell? and it's like a very heavy burden is being carried by a precious few in this country, And, it's honestly, man, it's impossible for me to just pick out one. They're all so special in their own remarkable, highly individualistic way. And each loss is just a blow to this nation that's, I'm sorry, this nation and the men and women who die for this country are our most precious natural resource. And every time we lose one, it's hard to recover from it,
Sean, I don't like it when people do this next generation sucks, this next generation's worthless thing, because as I've always argued, that's just looking at history with rose-colored glasses. Moses was complaining about the next generation, I guarantee it. That's just the way it is. There's these next guys are soft. And they always point out the warriors of old. I opened up today talking about World War II stories, and they said, oh, that was the greatest generation. Buddy, that was a small percentage of the population. We have the same percentage today out there doing the same stuff.
Yeah, you're right. I totally agree with you. I had a guy, Jeff Hall, right? Jeff Hall was the E6, Ranger E6. One day in Afghanistan in November, just before Thanksgiving, he assaulted through 2 enemy lines and saved a Marine who was shot in the pelvis. His femoral artery retracted up into his pelvis, and he was bleeding to death. Jeff fought through, I'm telling you, 2 sets of enemy lines to get to this guy, brought in a Black Hawk helicopter with a jungle penetrator and got that Marine out of there after the firefight, by the way, 2 hours long. We were trapped in the kill zone trying to get this Marine out, but Jeff Hall made it through. And the first thing that this dude says for me comes off the hill, right, because he led this charge. He grabs me by my chest, like one of his NCO would do, and he says, "Sir, you better not put me in for a award for that. I was just doing my job." And we got back. I just looked at him, right, legend, right, and then we got back from Afghanistan. He went back 9 months later and got killed, and it just stuff like that just kills me, man. Every day, it just sucks. It just sucks to think about.
Another awful thing to think about, we've only got a couple minutes left here, is the families so many of these guys left behind. Not just parents. I mean, we forget so many of these guys, it's a wife, man. It's kids. And I think about the kids all the time more than I ever did before because I have mine. And, every day now, I come do idiotic radio and TV every single day now. And every day now when I say goodbye to mine, I think, man, what if I were to leave my buddies right now? Like, what if gotten an accident or something like that? And these guys kiss their families goodbye for 6 months at a time and go into combat. I'm glad I didn't have mine, man. I don't know if I could have done it.
I didn't have kids either. I wasn't married at the time, but I agree with you. I don't know how I would have done it. But, Jesse, that's why it's so important for everyone that's listening today. If you've got kids, just take a minute and teach them about the heroism and the legacy of these men, not just in this generation, but every generation. Every person in this country is touched by the military in some way. You either know someone who served, married, have a friend, met somebody in frickin' Walmart. Everybody is connected to the military in some way. And today and every day, just do everything you can to make sure that their heroic legacy and that selfless sacrifice is passed on to the next generation, because that's extraordinarily important for our country.
Sean Parnell, I sincerely hope you make it to Congress, my man. Go ahead. What's your website?
SeanForCongress.co.
Okay. All right, my man. You go out there, pour one out for the boys today. I'm going to do that tonight.
Yeah, you got it, brother. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi, my man. Be good. Sean Parnell. Whew. We don't talk enough about the families, man. Maybe today, one of those families, parents, wife, kids, maybe a phone call. If you're too nervous to do that, maybe a text. Hey, thinking about you today. Hey, just wanted to reach out, said a prayer for you today. Maybe not a bad idea, huh?